we started planning this day, among the many things I was feeling was aggravation that we had to do it at all, because I've been to so many of these services and each one left its imprint in my brain of visual memories of everyone there and the heartache in each of those rooms. And I was aggravated that I was going to have to add to that big bank of memories with our own mother's funeral. And I'd lived so long with the fear of her death running through my bloodstream. And now that it was finally here, I was completely exhausted. And the thought of having to walk in this mourner's parade, I didn't think I had it in me. But then my mom's teachings kicked in. There's this one thing that she taught us, I feel, was the most important of all that we learned from her. And she never sat us down and spelled it out. It was more of how she lived her life. The innate sensibility she carried with her and simply spread around just by being herself. And it was how to deal with the word no. If you don't have to take no as a personal attack a lot of the time. No isn't the end of the world, it just is part of the way life is on this planet. It doesn't govern everything, but it's absolutely out there, and everyone's got to deal with it probably more often than they'd like. She did say to me one time in a very relaxed, casual conversation we were having, that life was a series of hurdles. You go for a bit, and then there's a hurdle, and then you figure out a way around it, and then you go down the track a little more, and there's another one, but you keep going, because it's not all hurdles. And that's how I remember she did it. She didn't wait for some horrible situation to befall us and then point her finger at a chalkboard and remind us of these grand lessons. She was so much more gentle than that. And she always showed us a mutual respect as equals, fully believing in our intelligence and our capability of understanding the world as much as she did, and encouraging us to go find our own answers too. Which was remarkable, because that's not how she wasn't raised in an era where that kind of respect was always shown to children or even to other grown-ups. And I kind of hesitate to say that though, because it must have been there somewhere. Somehow she learned how to deal with the word no. Somewhere she learned that sharing a mutual respect for other people and trusting in their intelligence was the way to go. And at some point, she committed herself to believing in it, to living her life that way and teaching others about it too. So today I'm going to share something else she taught us, an addition to dealing with the word no. So in improvisational theater, there's a rule called yes and. So during a scene where people are improvising and having fun and creating a scene right there on the spot, the rule is that you have to say yes and to whatever anyone else throws at you. So if someone says, you're a tree and there's a squirrel climbing up your trunk, you have to say yes, and I hope I have enough acorns to feed them, or whatever. Whatever moves the scene forward. You have to accept whatever you are given from the other people in the scene and keep it moving by adding to it with the and. And what Mom actually ended up teaching us was not just how to deal with the word no, she taught us no and. No is going to happen, and then what? No, you can't go down this path you were hoping to go down, so then what else is going on? Are you still breathing? Is the world still spinning? And teaching us how to deal with no was monumental enough, but teaching us that there was always more going on in the world made all the difference. Especially considering the time that she lived in. We can look back now at the state of the world in 1935 when she was born and watch the gradual growth of what we're looking at now, where we're able to connect to someone on the other side of the planet with the actual push of a button in our pocket, and recognize the emotional impact that has, the social impact that has on how we treat each other. When our dad died in 1976 from cancer, we were all very young, and someone suggested to Mom that she not tell us he died of cancer because it was just so, cancer, like so harsh or so shameful, somehow stigmatized by society at the time. And later when we were teenagers, she told us about that with this incredulous laugh said, of course I was going to tell you it's the truth. Like, it was your father, and the suggestion was absurd. But it highlights that moment in human history, and it highlights that moment in human history and how far we've come in just these few decades. And it highlights how wonderful it was to be raised by her. This is the impact that she had on the world, that each of us here today, and countless others, her friends, other family members, her students, people she worked with, all still have her as an example of gentle, loving respect and a well-weathered trust in humanity, right in the face of all the times she was told no, and then took a breath and looked around for ways to keep moving. I really don't know how she got that way and stayed that way. And not having her here anymore to ask is a heartache. It's a no that's going to take me a while to figure out how to live with, probably even the rest of my life. And I am so grateful and so honored and so privileged to be able to call her my mom, and that I get to bring that with me wherever I go now. And that I can connect with so many more people now and live by her example and try to be as gentle, as nice, as open-minded, and as forgiving of humanity's tragic appetite for purposely, needlessly forcing the word no onto itself again and again when there are so many other options that are well within our reach. Like her, we can all try to be more understanding that entire generations of people were robbed of the opportunity to live a more peaceful life. We can keep talking to each other, sharing ideas on how to deal with the word no, and sharing ideas on moving the scene forward. Thank you all for being a part of our lives and for helping to not move on without her, but to move forward and bring her with us. Thank you.